All right, 883. And EC, are you ready for 885?
That's affirmative. Filling is negative 0.001.
Copy. Nate Sheet, OTC.
Say shooting.
Give you step 886 at this time. Ready to support cabin vent?
That's firm.
Copy. And CDR, TC, you got to go to perform the cabin vent valve per your checklist.
CDR, cabin vent in work, per checklist.
Okay, and you will get Claxton, the master alarm.
This is shuttle launch control, T-minus 20 minutes in holding with 3 minutes 24 seconds remaining in this planned hold. We can see here members of the ICE team, the final inspection team, documenting the LH2 umbilical to assure that the ice observed there is not sufficient to be an issue. And they'll be bringing their observations and report.
The T-minus 20-minute briefing. Our launch window today opens at 17:44:28 and closes at 18:43:46. We will target a preferred launch time of 18:01:56. Our lock strain back hold time is 5 minutes, 00 seconds based on performance. The launch window and lock strain back hold times will be updated and provided to the team during the T-minus 9-minute hold. We do have a launch window cutout today, and we do have a launch window COLA. PLT, at T-minus 5 minutes, perform APU start upon command of OTC only.
PLT.
And CDR, the egress system is nominal. The evac helipad is 2.
CDR copies, nominal and 2.
And attention fire and room launch team, after T-minus 20 minutes, all problems or trends that require countdown clock hold will be reported to the NTD on channel 2 and 2 together with a recommendation. For all manual holds after T-minus 5 minutes, the countdown clock will continue until T-minus 31 seconds unless the recommendation to hold at the next milestone is necessary. After T-minus 31 seconds, only cutoff is available and will result in a recycle to 20 minutes. For a cutoff, pro-word CGLS cutoff will be used. The GLS milestones are as listed. This completes the T-minus 20-minute briefing. We have 1 minute, 32 seconds left in our hold here at 20.
OTC, CGNC.
Go ahead, GNC.
Step 1020, responsible console for IDP2 is now C12.
Copy.
One minute remaining in our built-in hold. Countdown clock.
2 and 2 console operators discontinue all LDB commands and read stream pass ops transition.
Countdown clock will pick up in 45 seconds.
CDR, TC, have you completed your cabin vent?
I'm sorry, CDR has completed cabin vent action.
Standing by now to come out of the hold
Will resume on
in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. T-minus 20 minutes and counting.
20 minutes and counting.
The Mila tracking station at the Kennedy Space Center has now gone to high power for the liftoff.
NECL, you got to go for 892 at this time.
Copy that, standing by.
Right, just stand by then.
The Ponce de Leon Inlet Tracking Station north of the Kennedy Space Center near New Smyrna Beach is now ready for launch. They will be tracking during the second minute of flight for about 90 seconds.
TVD, did you get 894 done?
Negative.
Right, you got to go for that.
Copy and work.
And then Mila continues to track.
OTC, standby on that.
Copy.
Mila continues to track until 7 minutes 30 seconds into the flight, at which time we'll be switching to the TDRS East Tracking and Data Relay satellite.
OTC DPS.
Go ahead, DPS.
TAS ops transition complete. DPS ready for BFS transition to ops 101.
Copy. CDR, OTC, clear your pass fault sum and take BFS to ops 1 per your checklist.
CDR cleared to clear the pass fault sum and take DFS to ops 1 per the checklist. Here it comes.
Going to ops 101 puts the flight computers in launch mode for the flight profile that has been loaded into them based on the upper level conditions as it flies through the atmosphere.
And
OTC, CDR, BFS stops 1 complete, and the pass spec is also cleared.
Copy. And PLT, OTC, configure your horizontal situation configuration per your checklist.
And OTC, PLT in work.
Everybody seems to be getting comfortable with
Your steer per your checklist also.
what they're being told about the
Work, and as a heads up, I'd like to increase the brightness of CDR1 and CDR2.
Okay. TVD, OTC.
They're getting comfortable with what they are seeing or being told about the ice, but they still want to see the images that the team is bringing back from the pad.
TVD, OTC. 1212.
And they're now finished with that. They're headed back toward the Launch Control Center.
And CDFS, are you calling in today?
Okay, NTD, I can give you step 1045, ready for BFS uplink.
I copy that. And Houston flight in today?
NTD Houston flight.
Yes, sir. At this time, I'll give you step 1046. Perform your BFS pre-flight uplink loading.
Okay, we'll put that in work. I can also give you 16808. The weather balloon system is no longer mandatory. And 161010, PSP deact is not required today.
And I copy no PSP deact. And SRO NTD?
SRO?
Yes, at this time I'll give you step 808,
SRO?
the weather balloon system no longer required.
NTD, this is SRO on 212.
Yes, sir. I'll give you step 808, weather balloon system no longer required.
Copy all. OTC,
CDR, configure contingency abort yaw steering complete.
All right, and we still have the horizontal situation configuration in work. We copy. ACL, you called?
Yeah, I can give you step 942.
Copy, and the fill-ins for 943?
14.75. Into the launch director 212.
And launch director, can I have you stand by for just one moment?
Standing by.
And CDR, OTC?
CDR, go ahead.
Report your cabin pressures per your checklist, sir.
OTC, CPVD 212.
Yeah, PVD, you got to go configure your vent doors.
Okay, copy. That is complete. 956. I can give you step 956. All vent doors, normal purge configuration.
And launch director NTD.
Yes, ma'am. Is the ice on the umbilical your only constraint right now?
Stand by, sir. I believe I'm showing two constraints. That'd be IPR 117 and 118.
Okay, copy.
OTC, CDR. On the spec, we have 14.79er. On the gauge, we are just under 150 for the pressure.
Copy, ECL got that?
ECL copies.
And ECL with that, are we ready for CDR to perform as close the cabin vent valves at this time?
That's affirmative.
And CDR, you got to go close your cabin vent valves per your checklist.
CDR, closing vent valves per checklist.
Safety console and pack console NTD.
Safety.
Yes, sir. Step 950.
Safety copies.
Okay, copies.
We're watching the ice team getting ready to leave the pad.
Vent valves are closed per the checklist.
Copy.
And OTC, I'll give you step 951.
Copy 951, and NTD, I'll give you at this time step 956.
I copy all.
NTD Houston Flight 212.
Go ahead, Houston Flight.
I can give you a 16-1047. VFS pre-flight uplink load is complete.
And I copy that. And CDFS NTD?
CDFS copies.
And STM NTD?
STM.
Yes, sir. Per step 953, I'd like you to set up tracking of our closeout crew as they depart.
T-minus 10 minutes and counting, 1 minute away from going into our built-in hold, which should last about 23 minutes and 28 seconds. All of our constraints, items that we've worked during the countdown, they've all been closed out with the exception of this one item about the ice.
Copy 181.
And we're standing by now to go into the built-in hold in 3, 2, 1, T-minus 9 minutes and holding.
OTC PD.
OTC MPS. Go ahead, MPS.
Can I get a go for step 1083? That's the depletion sensor command removal and final checkout.
Yeah, if you're ready for that, we'll go with NTD and we'll be right back with you.
Yes, ma'am, you got to go. Go ahead and put 1083 in work.
And MPS, you got to go for 1083.
Copy that.
And attention on the net, countdown clock is at T-minus 9 minutes and holding.
NTD CVFS.
Going to go now to the Johnson Space Center in Houston, where Flight Ascent commentator Kyle Herring will give us a status on mission control in Houston.
T-minus 20 dump is complete.
Well, thanks, George, and good afternoon from the Johnson Space Center. This is Mission Control Houston at T-minus 9 minutes and holding. The Ascent team has been on console here in the flight control room back in Houston since 7 this morning Central Time and is led by Flight Director Norm Knight, who's overseeing his 5th launch today. Handling communications with the crew aboard Atlantis after liftoff is astronaut Greg Johnson, who's no relation to pilot Greg Johnson aboard Atlantis right now. This Greg Johnson flew on STS-125 as the pilot back in March. Also serving as an interface with Chief Astronaut Steve Lindsay, who's flying weather reconnaissance around the Kennedy Space Center area, is astronaut Eric Bowe. The flight control team is really not monitoring any problems aboard the space shuttle, monitoring all of the systems along with the team there at the Kennedy Space Center, and hopefully should shortly notify the flight director it is ready to support the 30th launch of Atlantis this afternoon. The Ascent team has spent much of the day.
I'm ready whenever you are.
Go ahead.
Okay, I can tell you all of our ground cameras are ready to support, and if you're ready to copy the fill-ins.
I am.
The Ascent team has really been monitoring no problems aboard the vehicle. The weather conditions around the Kennedy Space Center are in great shape for launch today, and in the event of supporting a return to launch site abort during the early stages of the climb to orbit. Also, because of the inclination that Atlantis is launching into, a 28.5-degree inclination, essentially launching due east from the Kennedy Space Center. Today's transoceanic abort landing site is Morón in Spain. The conditions there are favorable for launch. They're both forecast and observed to be go for launch this afternoon at the preferred launch time of 2:01 and 56 seconds Eastern Daylight Time. Once Atlantis lifts off and clears the launch tower, its onboard guidance system will maneuver the orbiter to a heads-down position that puts it on the proper course and trajectory to achieve the desired orbit. At main engine cutoff, Atlantis will be in a 334 by 33 statute mile orbit. About 30 minutes later, that orbit will be refined using the orbital maneuvering system engines on the tail of the orbiter that place the vehicle in a 342 by 125 statute mile altitude for on-orbit operations. The launch actually serves as the first in a series of rendezvous burns designed to allow Atlantis to catch up with the Hubble Space Telescope. Rendezvous and grapple of the telescope is scheduled just before 1 o'clock Eastern Time Wednesday afternoon. At launch time, the Hubble Space Telescope at an altitude of 342 statute miles will be located almost directly above the Kennedy Space Center. 30 seconds into the flight, the 3 main engines will be throttled back to lessen the effects of the dense lower atmosphere on the orbiter, and less than a minute later, the shuttle will accelerate rapidly, reaching a speed of nearly 3,700 miles per hour at the point where the twin solid rocket boosters burn out and separate at 2 minutes, 2 seconds. Once in orbit, Atlantis' 3 main engines will be shut down at the 8.5-minute point followed just a few seconds later by the separation of the large external fuel tank. With all of the systems on board the vehicle in good shape to support launch this afternoon, the only item of interest, and as you've heard George Diller talk about, is the investigation of some ice that's formed around the T0 umbilical. The Orbiter Project Office, led by Steve Stitch, who is on the scene down at the Kennedy Space Center, is interfacing with the debris, the damage assessment team back here in the mission evaluation room to assess that ice as to its effect or any impact that it would have on the launch today. They need another 15 minutes or so to evaluate. They're looking at the same type of ice that was formed on STS-125 pre-launch that flew back in November to see if they can envelop their analysis with that ice, which current projections are that may have actually been a little bit larger than what we're seeing right now, but they're still going to analyze that. The team out at the pad has taken some additional digital photographs. There's actually a mechanism on the launch pad to link those images through a laptop computer back to the firing room instantly and back to the teams to evaluate those images fairly quickly to hopefully clear the vehicle for launch this afternoon from a debris transport standpoint. And right now it looks like that shouldn't be an issue, but the teams will look at that a little bit further. Again, all of the other systems are in great shape to support launch this afternoon, and the flight control team here in Houston is standing by to take over control of Atlantis and the STS-125 mission at solid rocket booster ignition. At T-minus 9 minutes and holding, this is Mission Control, Houston.
C-LOX and CLHY?
They were notified.
NTD copies.
And NPS, can you give me step 1112?
For 1112, we're going to take a not performed option.
Copy.
And safety console and pack console NTD.
Safety? Pack.
Yes, I'll give you step 1060. Closeout cruise at AB 11.
It goes. And pack copies.